YouTubers, this is Anonymous T. Hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Today I'm going to be discussing Selling Tampa Season 1, Episode 2. This episode was a whole lot better than Episode 1. However, there's still some concerns and things that I have. However, we'll get right into it. So the episode starts off with the group having a staff meeting at Allure, with Shirelle, of course, leading the charge, trying to find out, what people have going on and if there were any offers from, the big event that they had the night before. Then there was drama because, Anne said that her client was interested in the home. However, they were only going to make an offer of $3 million and the home is listed for $9 million. And, Shirelle was trying to explain that that's an insult to try to start off that low, that either they're going to come in, around what the asking for is, or otherwise let's not even entertain it. And Shirelle was a little bit surprised because she felt that Anne and Colony have been like her top sellers thus far. And, for her to make that type of a move, kind of disappointed her. Then after that, Shirelle then tells the group that there's going to be a new split on the commission. So currently she said that, before it was 95-5 and now it's going to be going to 80-20, and that they have lead generations, they have increased marketing, and they have better software, and that they're growing. However, Rena was not a fan of this because she handles, looks towards this commission to be her livelihood, and she feels like she's been here from the beginning. And then coupled with her being excluded from the photo, it kind of just felt like she was not getting a say. Her role was kind of being diminished. So, for instance, so now what's happening for like a $1 million place, their commission would be like $28,500. Now it's going to be down to $24,000. And, then Rena wanted to speak up and basically said that she had an issue with the new commission split and felt that it was happening too frequently, and just wanted to understand the rationale, and felt that they're now paying 15% more basically to the brokerage. And, this is the second time that the split has changed, and she just wants to know when this change is going to stop happening. And I feel as though other people felt a similar way, but they were just scared to speak up. And so they, Shirelle basically told Rena to schedule and make an appointment with her. And Anne and Colony, they kept giving like these weird faces on their looks, like it was just so bizarre. But yeah, I kind of agree with Rena. Like, it's way too many changes already. So that was weird. And so then Shirelle and Rena were going back and forth in terms of, how many deals and things has Shirelle given Rena to close on and that were exclusive. And they're just going back and forth. They don't see eye to eye. And it's kind of sad because apparently, both of their spouses were really good friends. And, when Shirelle used to be married to her ex-husband, and unfortunately now, since Shirelle is no longer with him, she feels like Rena has, now receiving the brunt of whatever the fallout of that is by not getting, treated right on the job. Next, we go into Shirelle and Carla. They go work out at this gym. And we get a little bit more about Carla's story, that essentially she was on top of the world before, but then she had like a breakup and the pandemic happened, and, broke up with her high school sweetheart who's like the father of her kids and stuff. And so she went through like a really bad depression. And then also she's one of the lowest selling agents at the at Allure, so it's also a concern as as well, for her to kind of get back out there because she's not, producing. So then, they have like a little chat about a potential opportunity that Shirelle is going to, need Carla's services for, because since Carla's bilingual, she can also speak Spanish and everything else to the builder. Next, we then move to a home. And actually, it was a pretty interesting home. We went to Anne's listing, and it was like a 5,000 square foot home, 1.57, price. And I think the commission was going to be around 50K or so. And as soon as you walked in, there was like a game room with like the pool table and everything else. And so, basically Colony shows up because they're like this dynamic duo, and they're touring the house, and then they're giving their feedback on what they feel about the commission changes were. And so they basically said, well, as long as we continue to be the highest earners, then it's not going to be an issue, and just how Rena and Shirelle's dynamic is not going to work long term, because both of them want to be right. Both of them want to be, the correct person and in charge and everything else. So, and then it was funny because, Colony said chocolate melts, and then Anne said, well, caramel gets sticky. And, it was just funny. Well, Colony said that caramel got sticky. So that was kind of funny. So then after that, we see Rena. She meets with her husband for lunch. And so he's explaining, the dynamics of kind of the new relationship that Rena and Shirelle have now that Shirelle is divorced. And Rena is expressing, her frustrations that now she is serious about potentially starting her own company, because she has a brokerage license that she hasn't told anybody yet, but she just feels like her role keeps getting diminished, and she was there from the beginning, and she feels that at some point her and Shirelle are going to have a sit down, because something is going to have to give. And so, her husband, of course, is being very supportive and this and that, because she's tired of the, it's my way or the highway. And then she made a really cool comment, that was just like, what's the point of having the world if you're going to lose your soul? And that is just such like a true statement. Like, you can have so many blessings, but if you are, sacrificing, your morals, your beliefs, and your values to have it, then what does it all really mean? So I actually really like Rena because she gives me like alpha female energy. Like, I just know for a fact she's a fire sign. It's just a matter of which one. I have to figure out, the zodiacs of these ladies, because Rena just gives me fire signs all day. So, and just like boss energy. So, and Rena's just trying to figure out how she can navigate the situation and still ultimately end up being friends with Shirelle when it's all said and done. Next, we then go to this large lot where they're meeting with the realtor, Shirelle, HR, and Carla. And, this is going to be like the big, potential development listing located at Stone Lake Ranch. And it has like 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. The price tentatively is like $3.2 million and potential, $200,000 commission. And so, they're walking around the lot. Arturo, the builder, he's showing kind of what the expectation, what the specs are of the property, and kind of what his vision of what the mansion is going to look like once it is built, So they're kind of going around the property, they're talking about different things, and then Carla comes in. She starts speaking in Spanish and everything else, and then Arturo's getting wowed, because she can speak Spanish. And so, they're just kind of talking business to see whether or not this is a fit for Allure, to have exclusive rights to, anything that Arturo's company is building for the future. So they were talking business for that. Next, we then go to HR, aka Joanna, and she is out to eat, and she is about to do a FaceTime with her mom, and it was just like so cute because I guess it was like her mom's birthday. And then her mom goes, "So what about that court date? You got that court date coming up." And I didn't know where they were going. I was like, did this girl get arrested? Like, what happened? Like, what court date? What is she talking about? Is she suing somebody? Like, what is going on? And so then she reveals that she is getting a divorce, and that she has not told anybody in the group because she didn't want anybody to feel sorry for her. She didn't want anybody to feel pity for her. And that essentially, her and her husband, they've been having some issues. She's been separated from him for 6 months and nobody knows. And, essentially she has to remember to put on her wedding band every day, to still play up like she's married. But essentially just didn't want anybody to, treat her any differently because she was no longer going to be married. And I commend her because that is a huge thing to keep a very crazy secret, from your coworkers, from your friends, and only your mom knows and your son knows. Like that's crazy, but more power to her. So she said basically she's just going to kind of, navigate everything. She said the reason that she wanted to keep it private is because when you're in real estate, your face is everywhere. And specifically in Tampa, since everybody knows everybody, you have a certain image that you want to keep up and uphold and everything else. And so she just didn't want everybody, to know all that was going on at that point. So then after that conversation, the mom's just kind of giving her words of encouragement, to, push through, and that, she's going to get through this, and that they call each other their best friends and everything. And so then there is a group outing. The restaurant really looked nice, and it was on by the water. The views in Tampa, oh my goodness, they are so gorgeous. So everybody arrives, and Tennille calls Colony and Anne frickin' frack because they're like always together, and it is just hilarious. And so everyone is there except for Carla, Joanna, and Shirelle, and she told them, to meet, at this restaurant. So they're all waiting to find out what's going on because, they're late. So they're all waiting, and, Rena makes the comment, I hope it's not about the commission split again and everything else. And so, Rena said stuff like this is going to continue without notice because that's how Shirelle is. So everybody's sipping drinks and everything else. And then next thing you know, on a boat, here comes Shirelle, Joanna, and Carla, just coming in on style, coming in extra, like on this boat. And so, Shirelle basically reveals that they got the contract with Arturo to exclusively, be the one to list all of his mansions and things that he builds to their clients, so they get first dibs on everything. And so basically this opportunity that Shirelle wanted Carla to be a part of for is because she wants Carla to have, some work, and she wants Carla to be successful. And so Shirelle was basically saying, like, even to her agents who aren't performing well, she still wants Carla to have that opportunity to, take advantage of this and potentially, get some more sales. So then everybody, starts looking as the boat comes closer to the girls coming in, and Tennille's all like, yep, it's obvious Shirelle has her favorites and blah, blah, blah. So everybody's just kind of, I don't know, they were just in their feelings. So that was something. And then it's funny because people keep making comments about HR's attire, and it's just hilarious because it's like, obviously we know that she's going through a divorce and everything. So now it makes sense why she's dressing differently, but the rest of everyone else doesn't know. So it's just really wild. So then Shirelle gets there and basically says, how they're celebrating a new deal, and that, Carla was there because, to help speak the Spanish language, and Arturo really loved her and everything else. And so everybody's like, oh, that's great for you. And so then, Shirelle reveals that it's going to put everybody on the map because, they have the exclusive with the lore. So, but then Rena felt that this was calculated because of the bad taste that they just felt with, having it revealed that the commission was going to change. So she basically felt that this was intentional to kind of spring this on them now to kind of take the focus away from the commission change. And, Rena just has all these questions and it is just hilarious. And then Shirelle's frustrated because she's like, this gets under my skin. Like, you always have a question for everything. And so, Rena then brings back up the commission thing again and raises the issue at this restaurant. And Shirelle's like, okay, does anybody else have an issue with the commission, to speak up? And Rena's kind of alluding to other agents do have problems with it. I always hate when that happens, when there's like certain coworkers of yours that will complain about things that the boss is doing. And then when like you feel like you're on the island and you're bringing up the issue, then everybody is like quiet. Nobody wants to say anything. And so then HR calls out Anne and said that Anne was nodding during the meeting like she was in agreement with everything that was going on. And so, Anne is all trying to play like, oh, well, I just nod, because that means I'm actively listening. And I'm like, oh, no. And so then Shirelle calls Rena back out that, it's just you with the issue. And, Rena said, no, she's the only one that actually spoke up about it. So, it's just funny because HR really is trying to like get Anne, on the same page, and Anne is just not taking the bait and is basically going after HR for this whole thing and basically saying, I'm just nodding. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is completely wild. And so she's telling HR not to speak on things she doesn't know about and all this and that. And so it is just crazy. It is just complete craziness. And Rena's still, not doubling down. She's like, listen, we're not backing down on this. We're supposed to be all executives. And you're basically saying to your executive, hey, we're lowering your pay. And she has questions about it. So, and so then once again, Shirelle asks everybody individually if they have a problem, and nobody speaks up. It is just Rena that has the issue, but we already know that that's not the case. And so then after that, Shirelle kind of makes a comment that if people produce more, then maybe the fees wouldn't have to go up and all this and that. And so then Shirelle and HR, they go to sit at the bar, and, Rena's still like upset about everything. And so, Tanil's trying to tell her, how Shirelle is, how she's just gonna, do her, and she doesn't want people to question her about it and this and that. And so, HR and Shirelle, they have a drink. And so then that is when HR reveals to Shirelle that she has been separated from her husband, and basically how she met Shirelle because of her husband. And then she later reveals that, she actually filed for a divorce and that she still loves him. They still love each other, but she says that she did not feel that she was getting everything that she needed out of this marriage. So then Shirelle starts crying, and then HR starts crying. And, they're still trying to, discuss everything. And, Shirelle's trying to find out, okay, does anybody else know? And, HR is just like, no, you're the first person that I've told in terms of employee-wise and friend-wise. The only other people that know is just my mom and my son and everything else. And, she's just, standing by that, while she loves him as a person and everything else, she just doesn't feel that he was a fit as a husband. So, she said she's just going through that. And she said she's already moved out a few months ago. And it wasn't that she wasn't trying to keep it from people, but it was just that she, wanted to keep pushing. And Shirelle felt bad because she'd been giving HR all this work to do. And HR was like, it has been good because it has kept my mind off of this and that. So that's kind of where we were. But Shirelle kind of just reiterated that if she needed, to slow down on any of the tasks that Shirelle was giving her, to just, let her know. So that was that. So then it kind of pans back to the other girls that are sitting back at the table. And so they're looking at, Shirelle and HR's interaction, and they're all like, oh, what's going on back there? And they're like very deep in conversation and wonder what that's about. And so Colony and Anne are like rolling their eyes. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just, we already start to see some of the group dynamics and things of that nature. And ultimately, I'm rooting for Rena. I hope she gets her own business, because nobody wants to be somewhere where they don't feel that they're being appreciated or they're wanted. And sometimes you outgrow certain things. And now that she has her own brokerage license, more power to her if she does decide to open up, her own firm, because like she said, there's enough for everybody to eat. There is a lot going on in real estate right now. It is a great time, in certain locations. So if she would know the market better than anyone. So yeah, I want to see definitely how, because eventually this conversation is going to have to happen between Rena and Shirelle about Rena potentially leaving the firm if she feels that, the agency can't do anything further for her, and she could just start her own business and move on. So that was pretty much that, in terms of everything that kind of happened in the episode. So I'm already kind of see, like I said, I'm starting to see some of the fractures. I'm starting to see who gets along with who. And so now it's kind of nice that we're getting a little bit more backstory for some of the other females, because the first episode, I had no idea who was who, like I said. So, and I was even getting some things confused with who said what and who did what and who's going through what. So I felt, episode 2 was a little bit more fluid. I will say though, we have to show more of the homes. You are roasting about how fabulous Tampa is. You were talking about how this exclusive this is, how Tom Brady, how Derek Jeter, how all these big time athletes and celebrities live here. Can we get more homes? And I just hate that we're focusing more on the drama. Like, I was hoping that this would be, similar to Selling Sunset, in that, kind of like their earlier seasons where you would see 2 or 3 homes an episode. This episode, we really only saw one home technically. The other location was just the land, and we just saw pictures of potentially what the mansion's supposed to look like eventually. But I feel like on these type of shows, we've got to do 2 to 3 homes per episode and less about the drama. So that is my take on that. And that's just kind of how I feel regarding that situation. So, those are all of my thoughts on the second episode of Selling Tampa. Like I said, I like the direction of the show. I felt there was a lot more meat in the second episode, and we got a little bit more backstory. But again, if we could just get more homes in the episode, that would be great, and less drama. I don't want this to turn into like another Real Housewives or another Love and Hip Hop or another Bad Girls Club. Let's focus on the great real estate that is happening in Tampa is really what I hope for. But we'll see what happens as I continue through these episodes and see what they give us. So those are all of the thoughts that I have on that. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for viewing and taking the time. And do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can always be updated with the latest reviews and any celebrity gossip and any other things that are going on. And you will be updated as soon as you hit that notifications button. So with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.